Hello and welcome to Lecture Loops. Today we are going to learn about an important data structure, that is arrays. An array is a kind of derived data type. It is a finite ordered homogeneous sequence of data elements. Basically, we use arrays when we want to perform some similar type of operations on a group of data items. So what happens with array? We can, with the help of array, a list of elements can be represented with a single name. Okay. So if you are new to my channel, please subscribe to my channel and don't forget to like the video. Now we again come to the definition of array. So as I have told you, array is a derived data type. It is finite. It is homogeneous. And it is an ordered sequence of data elements. So what is the meaning of all these terms? Derived. Derived means we create it from basic data types like int, float, char, double, etc. Okay, so that is why it is a derived data type. Then why it is a finite data type? Because its size is fixed. In C++, we have to fix the size of array. So that is why it is a finite data type. Now what is the meaning of homogeneous? It means that it contains same type of data. An integer array will contain all integer elements, while a float array will contain all float elements. But we cannot create an array such that it can store some integer and some float elements. Okay, so that is why it is homogeneous. Then what is the meaning of ordered sequence? It means in array there is proper sequence, like there is a first element, then there is a second element, and then there is third element, and so on. Okay, so now as array is clear to you, we move on to the type of arrays, and in which the first one is one-dimensional arrays. We use one-dimensional arrays to store a list of values. In real life also, there are some situations when we make lists, like we make a grocery list, we make a shopping list, a teacher makes the list of names of roll numbers of the students of the class. In this way, sometimes we need to make a list, or we want to group similar data in the program, then we use one-dimensional arrays. So before using one-dimensional array in your program, you have to declare this. Okay, declaration is important for the compiler. So what is the the syntax is the data type. Then you have to mention the name of the array. And then one more thing is there, you have to mention the size in the square brackets and then the semicolon. This is the declaration. So what is the, this declaration specifies basically three things. Number one is data type. That means it specifies what type of elements are there in the arrays. We can use any basic data type for declaring the array, like int, long, float, double, etc. Okay, like int, float, anything. Then array name. It is user defined, so we can give any name to the arrays, but it must follow the rules of naming identifiers. This name of array will represent the complete list or array. So we can give any name like roll number, we can give height, okay, like this. Then there is size of array. It indicates maximum number of elements that we can store in the array. The size gets fixed at the time of declaration. We cannot change it during the runtime. So we can make it like this, 10, height 15, like this. Okay, so this size is fixed. Now we come to the initialization of one-dimensional array. Initialization of an array means assigning values to the elements of the array during declaration. So how we can do this? We can simply declare array, and here we can assign the values. And this is the initialization. You have to put all the values separated by commas inside curly braces. One more variation is there. You can also do like this, and this is also perfectly valid. Here we have not mentioned the size, if you have noticed, but the size will be allotted according to the number of elements you have provided inside the curly braces. So both are valid. If we do not initialize an array, it contains garbage value. Okay. Now we come to the memory representation of one-dimensional array. When we declare an array, memory is reserved for storing the elements in the array just like a normal variable. But there is a difference. An array contains multiple elements. Okay, so suppose there is an array like int x5. Okay, so this is an array. So there are 5 elements in this array, and the data type is integer, and suppose one integer variable is taking 4 bytes of storage. Okay, fine. So the total number of memory will be reserved will depend on the size of array multiplied by size of data type. So the total memory allotted will be 5 into 4, that is 20 bytes. So 20 bytes of storage will be allocated to this array X. Fine. And one more important thing which is very interesting, very interesting, is that all these bytes will be contiguous memory locations, means they will be one after another. So you will be getting a 20 bytes of contiguous memory locations for this X. So how these are, going to store? So these are suppose 20 bytes, like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Each is of 4 byte. Okay, like this. Suppose the base address is 1000. Fine. This is x0. This is x1. This is x2. This is x3. And this is x4. Okay, all will be of. So the address of x0 is 1000. This is 1004. This is 1008. This is 1012. And this is 1060. Fine. So in this way, contiguous memory locations will be reserved for these elements of arrays. Now, how can we access these elements of one-dimensional array? So the answer is we can access the elements of one-dimensional arrays using subscripts or indexes. So the name of the, and one more thing, that arrays in C++ starts from 0 and goes to n-1, where n-1 is the size of array. So suppose you declare an array like this x10. Okay, so the subscripts will be from 0 to 9. Fine. And how can you access the individual element? Suppose you want to access the second element, so you will write x1 equal to 34, like this, x3 plus x2. In this way you can use them in any operation, like this. Okay, depending on the data type of the array. So in this way we can access the individual elements of the array. There is one more thing, if we want to access all the elements one by one, okay, so we can use for loop also. So simply we can write for I equal to 0, I less than 10, I plus plus, and then suppose we want to print all the elements, so we can write cout xi, like this, and all the elements will be printed one by one, because initially the value of I will be 0, then 1, then 2, then 3. In this way we can print all the elements, or we can access all the elements of a one-dimensional array. Fine. Now we'll see a coding example so that you can better understand that how to make programs using arrays. Okay, so now let's make a program. So first of all, we have to declare an array. So for that, we have to mention the data type and then the name of the array and the number of elements. So here I am taking only 5 elements, and now we will take input. So for that, we will first give a prompt to user so that he can enter all the elements. So enter 5 elements, like this. And then for taking input, we can use a for loop here. And this for loop should start with I equal to 0, because the array actually starts with 0. Array subscripts always starts with 0. So that is why then I less than 5, then I plus plus. Fine. Then we'll use cin here, and then we will mention ai. So in this way, all the elements, we can input all the elements of the array with this for loop, Now suppose we have to calculate the sum of all the elements present in the array. So what we can do is we can take a variable like this. Then again we can use the same loop, okay, to access all the elements of the array. If you want to access all the elements of array one by one, then the easiest way is to use a loop, okay. So that is why I'm using the loop again. You can do the same task in this loop also, okay, but I'm using a different loop. Yes, and then we can print the sum. The sum is what? The variable sum, the value contained in the variable sum, okay. So in this way our program is ready. So let's execute it. Enter 5 elements. So let's 10, 20, 30, 40 and 50, and the sum is 150, okay. So in this way we can make programs using arrays. Now what are two-dimensional arrays? So basically two-dimensional arrays are used to store table of values, that is we can visualize it as a matrix of rows and columns like this. Sometimes we want to arrange the data in rows and columns to perform some operations. Suppose we want the marks of 60 students in 5 subjects, or leaves taken by 20 employees in 12 months. In such situations, we can arrange our data using two-dimensional arrays. Now we come to the thing, that is declaration of two-dimensional arrays. So in the declaration, we have to mention both the size of rows and columns. So the declaration is will goes like this. Will be like array name. Up till now it is same as one-dimensional array, but here you have to mention the row size as well as the column size. So there will be 2 square brackets, okay. So I'm taking an example also. Suppose int a 3 3 like this, float b 4 2 like this. So this A array will be having 3 rows and 3 columns. Okay, this array will be having 4 rows and 2 columns. Okay, total number of elements in this array will be 9. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. And in this B array, there will be 4 into 2, row size into column size. So there will be 8 elements. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Fine. So this is the meaning of two-dimensional array. Now we'll see how we can initialize two-dimensional array. So there are various ways to initialize two-dimensional array. The number one technique is, which is like you are mentioning the row size and column size, and then you are writing all the values. So 3 2s are 6, there will be 6 elements. So 1 2 3 4 5 6 like this. And then you can also exclude the row size, but column size, the second subscript is subscript is mandatory. Okay, so in this way we can what will happen, it will be arranged in 2 columns. So there will be 3 rows and 2 columns, okay. The next one is you can specify more clearly during initialization, and the thing is that you can do like this, separate rows you can mention, and like this. So this is also a way of initializing the two-dimensional array. So it is compulsory to mention the second dimension while initializing. Fine. Now the memory representation of two-dimensional array. So computer memory is sequential in nature, but two-dimensional array, we are visualizing it as a matrix or a table, but it is not going to arrange in the tabular form in the memory, because memory is actually arranged. Memory will arrange the elements of two-dimensional array also in the sequence. So the conceptual view and the memory view of a two-dimensional array is entirely different. How it is different? Suppose, okay, so suppose this is an array, okay, A. So this element will be A00, this will be A01, this will be A02, this will be A10, this will be A11, this will be A12, again this will be A20, A21 and A22, like this. This is the conceptual view of an array of 3 cross 3. Okay, what will be the memory representation? Suppose this is of integer type, and integer is taking 2 bytes of storage, let's say. Okay, so now we will see the memory representation of this array A. So this is array A, this is A00, then A01, then A02, then A10, A11, A12, like this. This is A20, A21, and the last one is A22. So this is row 1, this is row 2, and this is row 3. So the address of first one is suppose 1000, the second will be 1002, then 1004, 1006, 1008, 1010, 1012, 1016, and 1020. Okay, sorry, 1018. This is 1018. Fine. So when we declare this array, suppose this, so there will be 9 elements and the size of integer is 2 bytes. So total of 9 to the 18, 18 bytes will be reserved. 18 sequential memory locations will be reserved for all the elements of this two-dimensional array. Okay. So now we will see how to access the elements of two-dimensional array. We can easily access the elements of two-dimensional array using two subscripts or two indexes. Again, the subscripts of row will go from 0 to row size minus 1, and the subscript of column will go from row 0 to column size minus 1. Okay, so suppose there is an array like this A23, then it will go from 0 to 1 for rows and 0 to 2 for the column. Okay, and how to access an individual element? So we can write like this 1, 2, like this. Okay, and we can assign any value. We can use this individual element with subscripts in any operations, arithmetic expressions, relational expressions, anywhere in output statements and all. So we can use simply these we can access these individual elements using indicating two subscripts or indexes. The first one indicates the row, the second one indicates the column. Again, in the same way as we can access all the elements of one-dimensional array using a for loop. In the same way, we can use for loop in two-dimensional array also if you want to access all the elements. But here you have to use two for loops, that is nested for loop you have to use. So you can write it like this: I less than row size and I plus plus, and the second loop will be for j is equal to 0, j less than column size, and then j plus plus. And then here you can use, like any statements like cout a I j, like this, and the loop closes. So first of all, the value of I will be 0, j will be 0, so a00 will be displayed. Fine. Then what will happen? J will be incremented, so it will become a01. Okay, so a01 will be printed. It will go up to column size, and then when it is done, all the values are printed, then I will be incremented, then it will print a10, a11, and so on. In this way, all the values of this particular array will be, two-dimensional array will be printed. So now we can make a simple program so that we can understand two-dimensional arrays very easily. So let's move to the coding example. Okay friends, so today we will make a program of two-dimensional arrays. So I'm going to make a program of adding two matrices. So for that we need actually three two-dimensional arrays. Okay, so I'm taking it as A33, and the second matrix will be B33, and third matrix in which we are going to store the result, it will be C33. Fine, that's it. That is the declaration part. Now all the all the matrices have the dimension of 3 cross 3, so all can contain 9 elements. Okay, now we'll take input. For that, first of all, enter elements of A. Okay, then we have to use actually a nested loop here. So it will be like int I equal to 0, I less than 3, and I plus plus. So this is the outer loop, and in the inner loop for the j, we'll take a variable j equal to 0, j less than 3, j plus plus. Fine. Now we have to take input, so we'll use cin here, cin A, j, and that's it. Okay, and now I'm going to copy this loop, same loop again. Okay, so I'm copying it, and now yes, now here we will take input the second array, which is B. Yes, and now again this same it will be this, enter elements of B. Okay, so what we have to do next, we have to perform the addition. So again I'm pasting it like this, and now in the third loop we are going to perform the addition. This is the addition. Now what we have to do, again I'm just the fourth loop. In this we are going to print the array. So what array it is? C. And also I'm going to do something just for the sake of presentation. Yes, and that's it. So in what we are doing actually, in the first loop we are taking the input of elements, taking input for the array A, and in the second we are taking input for the array B, in the third we are performing the addition, and in the fourth we are actually printing or displaying the final values or the output array C. Okay, so let's run this. Yes, enter elements of A. So suppose I'm entering it 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, 90. Now enter elements of B. So suppose 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 and 9. Yes, now you can see that the elements are displayed 11, 22, 33, 44, 55, 66, 77, 88 and 99. In this way we have successfully added two matrices, and now you know how to use two-dimensional arrays. Now you can make a program to subtract two arrays. You can make a program to find the sum of all the elements of a matrix. So do make these programs and share with me in comments. Thank you.